I don't ask for money up front. I don't go, all right, I need $10,000 from you with this and that. You know what I say? Give me your logo. I'll put it on our sponsor page. I'll promote your product. If you sell product, send me a commission. If you don't sell any product, don't send me anything. No risk on your end, right? And we grow together. And the moment I get huge, big, which I'll explain that a little further down the road here. The moment it gets huge and big, I'll ask you for $5,000 or something like that. But I know you're going to get the return on your investment. But right now, just give me a logo. I'll promote you, and we'll see what happens. We'll grow together. But I want to keep a relationship.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Your Business, Your Next Level. I'm your host, Eunicia Brett, and today I have someone really special in the studio with me. Gordon G.G. Gebert is the founder and commissioner of the official NPL National Pickleball League. I am so excited about this one. One of the fastest growing competitive pickleball leagues in the United States. He is a former touring rock musician who played keyboards with bands including Angel and worked with Ace Frehley of Kiss. Gordon brings a rock and roll entrepreneur mindset to building sports brands. He is also the inventor of Slam Master Pro, which is a pickleball training paddle and a leading voice in the growth, business, and future of competitive pickleball. Gordon, welcome to the show.
Oh, I owe you money for that intro.
I tell you what, you can put it out there and let's get other people listening to this. I know it's going to be an amazing podcast.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful, you did your homework on me.
Just a little bit. Well, everybody on our team was so excited about having you on. So this is going to be an amazing conversation for the two of us and for everybody that's listening. Talk to us a little bit more about the business of pickleball and how did you transcend from rock bands to pickleball? I want to know that first before we go any further.
That was a weird transition. I mean, I toured the world. I've played with so many bands. I have tinnitus, ringing in the ears, and I had to retire from performing live because it's very loud, playing big concerts and things like that. And I could only record in studios now and things like that. So I had to find something else to do with my life in retirement of being a retired rock star, so to speak. And I went down to Florida to visit my brother, and he was taking care of my parents at the time. And he said one year, he goes, "We're going to go play pickleball." And I said, "Pickleball? What's that?" We're competitive. We play sports. Never heard of it. Never heard. Weird name. I didn't even know it was a game or a sport. I go,
so this
"What are
is
you talking
before
about?"
It was a thing, right?
It was a thing. I was like, "What is this what are you talking about, pickleball?" He goes, "You'll see. Just come on the court." And I went down there and met up all his friends. It was a very social game. And we went on the court and he apologized to the other guys saying he doesn't know how to play, but he's good sports. He'll figure it out. And I'm sure I frustrated them all, that day, being a beginner, because you get frustrated playing with beginners. After that, I came home to New York and I Googled pickleball. What is this pickleball thing? And I found a woman named Betsy Underhill. And I called her up. I said, "Hey, my name's Gordon Gebert. You teach pickleball?" I said, "Can you teach me pickleball?" And she goes, and I said, "No, I want you to teach me pickleball." And she goes, "You sound serious. You sound like," "Yeah, I'm on a mission." And she goes, "What's going on?" I go, "You got to teach me pickleball because I want to go down to Florida and kick my brother's ass." And she laughed, and she was wonderful. I'm best friends with her to this day. That was about 8 years ago. That's how I transitioned over and got so involved. The game is very addictive. It's a very addictive sport. Eunicia, have you played yet? You haven't played pickleball yet?
My husband has played pickleball, and you and I should talk about the things because the last little while, he's like, "We need to go play pickleball." Our neighborhood actually changed some of the tennis court into pickleball court. So very official indeed. And so, yes, sounds like it's addictive. It's good sportsmanship. It's good to just move the body. It might be a good idea to get out there, right?
Oh, it's done wonders for my health too. Just recently, I had a blood pressure issue and everything. But when I go on the courts and everything, and then I come home, I take my blood pressure and it's nice and low and everything because of the activity. And I like to stay active and everything. And it's amazing how addictive it is. And that's how I ended up making a business out of it, sort of. So I don't want to jump the gun for you.
No, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. So I guess Gordon, since you talked about it being addictive, I'd love to understand point number one, why has pickleball become the fastest growing sport in America? Number one. And then number two, how can business owners, especially using the addictive part, how can business owners use it as a means to shift from perhaps the tennis, or maybe even in conjunction, or even golf, because as we know, a lot of business is done on a golf course, a lot of business is done even playing tennis. How have you seen that shift, and how can business owners perhaps continue to have fun while also working on their business and having fun at it?
I got to go one step at a time. What was the first question?
First question was, why has pickleball become the fastest growing sport in America?
Yeah, number one, it's easy to learn. You could easily learn the game within a day. I coach, I teach and everything. I'll be coaching and teaching later. And so many beginners. And as an entry form, you could easily learn the game and you have fun right away. So, and then people see they want to get better and better. So it's exploded because when you get people on the court and then they say, oh, this game I could sort of you get good at it fast. But to get from the good to when you get really super serious, then you start going pro. Everybody wants to go pro in pickleball. That's a whole nother animal. So, but you can get on the court with a top pro and still have fun, and you could still possibly score points and things like that. It's an easy game to play. That's what it is. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So, since it is an easy play, what are some of the business opportunities that you see for entrepreneurs, for investors, for facilities when it comes to exploring it as a sport that's coming up so fast?
I've been approached by so many people in my area that go, you want to go in on buying a court, buying, a club, a facility. And I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. It's business. And I'm a realist when it comes to things. I think it's opening up courts is a tough business because of the real estate involved. There's a lot of square footage for the income that you have to get coming in. So every time somebody approached me, do you want to go in on this, this club or whatever? I go, no, I think it's a bad investment unless you do it right. There's a couple of companies. I mean, it's the Wild West right now, and they're popping up all over the place. Just my experience, just in my area right now, I just started working with Pickle Rage in New Rochelle. I don't know. 13 courts, 13 indoor courts, just opened up last week. They hired me as a pro there. And within 30 minutes or 30-mile radius, there's 4 or 5 other clubs around there. So it's kind of getting watered down, and I call it's going to be a bubble. I mean, people go in exciting. I love it. You have indoor places to play and everything. And the other factor with this business-wise, the weather's been bad in the winter. That's when you go indoors and you play. And that's where they'll make their money. But the moment it's nice out, which it just got nice here up in Connecticut, New York, like 70 degrees, everybody goes out and plays for free outdoors. So I've been consulted by these clubs in my area, and I kept saying to these guys, when the summer comes, you got to lower your rates to like almost free just to keep the traffic in your place and make the money on extraneous stuff, food, equipment, pickleball equipment, things like that, but just keep the traffic coming in. Some of the clubs don't listen to me. That's fine. That's my advice. And then in the winter, then raise your rates. Have winter rates and summer rates. And then this is where NPL came in later on, started a nationwide league, have these leagues and a purpose to come to your club and keep playing at your place, no matter what the weather is, whatever, to keep your game, keep people playing their games facility.
How are you managing the NPL while you're out there consulting and playing in the role of a pro? Obviously, I'm sure people are standing out the door wanting to coach with you. How are you managing it all? Yeah, exactly.
Which I had another one I'm juggling. Well, I came when you mentioned my background was Ace Frehley from Kiss, and Kiss was the biggest marketing publicity band around. We get you when you're coming and we get you when you're going. Horrible. You could delete that. But that was Gene Simmons. But their marketing has been tremendous, tremendous. So I came from that school of publicity and marketing. And as a musician, I never did drugs. That talk about me as a musician. I'm very business minded. A lot of musicians weren't weren't good business people, but I was always business minded. That's why managers didn't like me, lawyers didn't like me, because I wasn't, just some guy just going out, just having fun, pay me. And I never paid attention to business. I paid attention to business. I was playing with bands.
I love that. So speaking of business, going back to the question I had earlier about in a world where a lot of business owners have historically done business on golf courses and playing tennis and some of the other sports out there, and taking into account what you said about the seasonality and the indoor outdoor, courts and being part of a league, what would your recommendation be to business owners that are wanting to have more fun, to get out there more, and at the same time continue to work on their businesses while they're having fun using pickleball? How could they
Well,
leverage that?
well, there's a lot of extraneous businesses. What do you call it? Supplements. A lot, the health part of pickleball. I have so many sponsors. I have Go Sleeves, sleeves for people for injuries and things like that. Court shoes, Nike. I talked to my friend bought Reebok, the company Reebok, just recently this past year or two, and then the apparel. The women are into the apparel. They love it, like the skirts. They call them sport skirts and stuff like that. Weird names for weird stuff. And of course, all the accessories, the hats and things like that. And then I went in. You mentioned that's how I started originally. Is I invented this training paddle for pickleball. And I've invented this about 5 years ago. And that's how I started. I was playing pickleball and paying all the time, didn't make a business out of it or anything. But I invented this training paddle, and then I began selling it. I sold over 10,000 units. Shark Tank called. They want me on the show, but it takes a year to get on there, a lot of paperwork and everything. And this is what opened me entrepreneurially into pickleball. And then all these other businesses were saying, you want to go in on a court thing, so there's other businesses all surrounding pickleball that you can make money and everything. I always say there's money in pickleball and there's not money in pickleball.
I'd like to
People
pause
get
on that
that.
for a second, because my question was, I love where you went with that for the individuals that are evaluating going into pickleball, investing into pickleball as a sport. Going back to the question from earlier, if you are a business owner and you haven't looked into pickleball, what I've heard through the grapevine is that a lot of individuals, yes, you still can do business on the golf course, you still can do business playing tennis, and pickleball has really become a place and a sport where individuals gather because it's competitive, but it's more fun. So don't discount that when it comes to how do you spend your time? How do you allow yourself to move your body in a way that also perhaps energizes your business by meeting up with other business owners? And then going back to what Gordon, you said, specifically about all of the individuals and all of the solicitations that you're getting to invest in clubs, to invest in courts, to invest in different things that are related to pickleball. And I loved how you said that the majority of them you say no to. I'd like to take a pause here for a second, because one of the things that we see at Excelstra when we work with clients, because we work with our clients in many cases for years, our job is to make sure that we put money in their pocket at the end of the day. And so because we do that with such exceptional clarity, one of the things that ends up happening is our clients, whenever they come across different investment opportunities, I get the email, hey, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And oftentimes what I see individuals that don't have support. Now we have a huge support network and investment bankers and a lot of amazing people that we can easily say, hey, what are your thoughts about this? Do you, like, from a business perspective, valuations and things like that. One of the things that I wish more people did, Gordon, is to have the discernment, kind of like you do. If they don't understand something, please don't just invest money. There are so many experts that will literally tell you only invest in the things that you understand, in the things that you know, in the things that you care about, so that you ultimately get to the point where you understand. And Gordon, you mentioned everything that you mentioned to this point was a very clear resonance of exactly that through the lens of the pickleball industry. So as you're listening to this, please understand that whenever you're presented with opportunities, you
Yeah.
got to do your homework and you got
And
to have the right
I'm
people
gonna
in your corner.
interject my thought process. There's a thing. The sport is weird, because everybody gets involved, and I call it pickleball fever. There is a pickleball fever for business, for these people to go into business, some type of business for pickleball, and that's why I've said no to this, that, this, that. But I started the NPL, my National Pickleball League, because I know it best. I know how to organize. I know how to run a league and organize. I used to run rock clubs, like the fan clubs for the bands I worked with. I was a business person. I did the entrepreneurial thing. So I ran fan clubs and things like that. So I knew databases and how to recruit people and things and I took that experience over into NPL. Now I've been approached to a few people that would want to invest in my NPL. And I've said no. There's more no's there. I'm one of the rare types. I had a discussion with my brother just a couple of weeks ago, and I get people. I know a lot of well-off people, very wealthy people and things like that. And I never go to them for money. I never go to them for funding and things like that. I'm weird when it comes to this. I'm very concerned and responsible. If somebody invests in me, I want them to have that return on investment. And if it's not there, I'm there with blood pressure medication. I'm worried about their investment and everything. I call my brother, and my brother goes, "You shouldn't be that concerned because a lot of well-off people use that money as gambling money. They have that money to say, all right, I'm going to gamble on that product. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be successful or unsuccessful. And I don't have that mindset. I want that success no matter 100%. Sure, but there's no guarantee in life, right?
Listen,
So
I'm right there with you, Gordon, on that, because without the value, that's basically where we started too in what we do as a company is how can we make sure that there's value for the client? And oftentimes people will say, well, how do I know? Well, because if there was no value and we did not know without a shadow of a doubt that we can deliver that value and we can stand behind our guarantee, we would never have the conversation.
right, and now I'll even reverse it on my other side with sponsors. And now everybody, I call it the S word, the feared S word, because I've been on the other side of. I've sponsored stuff, and most of the times you're not getting return on your investment. I call it you're giving away, a gift, with sponsors, so with my league, when I have sponsors, I have like 40, 50 sponsors in my league. I don't ask for money upfront. I don't go, all right, I need $10,000 from you or this and that. You know what I say? Give me your logo. I'll put it on our sponsor page. I'll promote your product. If you sell product, send me a commission. If you don't sell any product, don't send me anything. No risk on your end, right? And we grow together. And the moment I get huge, big, which I'll explain that a little further down the road here. The moment it gets huge and big, I'll ask you for $5,000 or something like that. But I know you're going to get the return on your investment. But right now, just give me a logo. I'll promote you, and we'll see what happens. We'll grow together. But I want to keep a relationship. All right.
It
So
sounds like you're describing what we call omni benefit. It's got to be for the benefit of everyone. And
yes,
Gordon, my perspective is if more people took that approach, I love what you're saying, because if more people took that approach to say, listen, let's just have fun. I trust you until you prove me otherwise.
mm-hmm.
Let's have some fun. And if more people could be in that through the same mindset, I truly feel we could change the world, the way the world operates. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And now I'll explain my little roller coaster. Hopefully these, whoever's listening, businessmen, maybe they'll relate to this and everything. So when I started the NPL, the official NPL National Pickleball League, there was another league came along and called themselves NPL. I am not a litigious person at all. I ended up, I'm trying to make a long story very short and get to the point of this. For 4 years, I've been in a lawsuit with them, dragged out trademark and all that stuff. I made my league before them. They knew it too. And they wanted to waste my money in courts and, bury me with costs and things like that. And I'll do figures. I owe my lawyer $50,000 right now. We just won. They gave up the name just this past month. 4 years of this, and they just gave it up to change their name. And they tried to bury me, and they did. I'm like a pit bull because I know what the value of that name NPL is. Official NPL. I kept it going. They thought I would just drop off on the wayside. They didn't realize who they were dealing with. So during those 4 years, I did no advertising. I did it all word of mouth. So I have 2,000 active players in pickleball in my league, which is really nothing. I know it is nothing to me, but we were in pockets, but it was great. And the model worked and everybody had fun. But I didn't advertise because I didn't want the other league to benefit from the confusion with my blowing advertising dollars into it. And then they're benefiting it from it. So now that it's finalized and they changed their name, it's still ongoing a little bit right now. I can now advertise and now blow this thing up. So I haven't blown it up for 4 years, but it's been, grassroots. So that's why our preview conversation was you only talk to people that are making like $3 million and above, businesses and things like that. My value will be there. I know that, but it's not there right now. And I'm honored that you have me on the show as a startup kind of company, but 4 years with litigation and sticking it out.
So
If you
Gordon,
get
just
all
so
that.
that you know, when we're speaking with business owners, it's not just where are they now, it's also looking at their history, and we're looking at where you've been, right? You are a massive influencer across multiple different industries, at least two different industries. So you earned the right to be here because business owners that are out there, yes, they might be in the 3, the 10, the $50 million range. And guess what? Some of those individuals, they might just want to know how in the world do they get their group to be part of the NPL. So this is a great opportunity for them to learn more about that and also learn from somebody that's pretty badass. I mean, in the rock world, right? Rock star
Thank you.
world. It just, yeah, how cool is it that you get to be on your business, your next level today? I love that.
Yeah, I thank you very much. And I've been blessed. Like I know a lot of celebrities, and I'm never starstruck or whatever because I've been there. I felt embarrassed when people ask me for my autograph. I'm like, I've written 5 books. Also, I've written 5 books about my experiences in the rock world. And even, do you know Crazy Eddie? Do you know about Crazy Eddie?
I've heard of Crazy Eddie. I can't
Yeah,
say that I know Crazy
there's the
Eddie.
business talking. So I wrote a book that just came out, Insane. It's called Insane Crazy Eddie. And that guy was the king of commercials and networking. And I worked for him. I was a stock boy and a district manager. So in my rock years, in my the roller coaster career, I'm on top of the world. And then I had to get a job on top of the world. On top of the world meant I was touring and having fun and, entertaining people and things like that. And then I had regular jobs and things like that in between. And Crazy Eddie was one of them. If you want to check out that book. So Eddie Antar was his name. He was even mentioned in the movie with Ben Affleck. What was the name of the movie? The Accountant. If you watch that movie, The Accountant, they mention Crazy Eddie because that guy did the biggest scam since Enron. I mean, you want to talk about bad business people. He was the worst of the worst. And I worked for him and I witnessed everything. The crazy, he went public with his stocks and things like that. So I mean, it's a whole nother we would do on that. So
Listen, it sounds like we might need to talk about some of the battle scars there, Gordon, because just last night I was reading in a book that specifically focused discussing the idea of stocks and portfolios that are bought and sold across different countries, and people literally invest hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, hoping that they're going to make it really big. And of course, they never are. And in most cases, the money is lost. And it sounds like you have so much experience with, just things that can go wrong, businesses that can go wrong, investments that people are being solicited into. And especially in today's day and age, I feel like more and more people are being scammed, taken advantage of. I literally had a conversation 2 days ago with my son, and he said, why you're talking about these things, mom, but it doesn't make sense. Like, how could people be so ill incentivized to do these really bad things? And the right answer is, I don't know. The
yeah,
other answer is, the only thing that we can do is to make sure that individually at our level, because that's the only thing that we can control, me, myself, and I, is to make sure that we're always out there doing the right thing. And as long as we have more and more people doing the right thing, hopefully more of us doing the right thing will overshadow all of the negativity and the gunk that's happening in the world right now.
I'll mention one guy's name, Bernie Madoff. That was huge, And before Bernie Madoff, it was Eddie Antar from Crazy Eddie. So, but you learn from your mistakes. My advice to everybody: do your homework, do your homework even more now than ever, because now you have AI. I mean, a lot of videos that you see on TikTok and Instagram, and then you don't know if they're real or AI now. It's so unbelievable. And it's scary, And investing is
I
tough.
feel like that's where the human component is really coming back, Gordon. And people are still they still have the fever of the AI fever. They can figure everything out on AI.
You figure
Yes,
out by
and
AI, yeah.
yes, and the human component is, I mean, it's coming back. And people are now more than ever seeking to know that they have someone that's human on their side that can help decipher through the gunk, the clutter, and the emotional side as well for those reasons, so that they can keep their sanity at the end of the day.
Yeah. So, I mean, I invest in Robinhood. I have a Robinhood account. I have what coin. It's funny. We spoke before the podcast. You're Romanian, and my Romanian friend knew about Bitcoin before I didn't even know what Bitcoin was. And he kept saying, my neighbor, Romanian neighbor, and he goes, and he mined Bitcoin. He had computers in his house mining Bitcoin. And I was like, what is all this? He goes, invest in it, invest in it. I wish I did at the time he said it. Bitcoin, the actual Bitcoin was only $60, and now it's worth, I forgot what Bitcoin's up. Even if it's up and down, it's like, 10,000 or whatever, 80,000. It was multiple, it's one of those investments that you wish you could have a time machine.
Listen, here's what I tell clients, Gordon. We cannot look back with regret, because the only time that we have is today. And the reality is that we are all where we're supposed to be. Should have been maybe different places? Yes, if we made different decisions. But it doesn't help anybody to go back and live with regrets. So the thing that we have control over, which is today, the question is, what are we doing with today to change and influence the future? And if people are wanting to do the same thing that they've always done, and they hope that somehow they're going to get different results, that meets the definition of insanity. Let's not do that.
And I say that on the pickleball court when people are hitting the same shot and they're losing. I said, that's the definition of insanity. Yeah.
So tell me, Gordon, because one of the questions that I love to ask our guests, and it sounds like we're gonna need to do a 2.0 at some point in time. One of the questions that I love to ask towards the end of our shows typically is, what is one of your biggest regrets, and what did it teach you?
Biggest regrets. Wow. I don't have many. In fact, Ace Frehley wrote a book called No Regrets. And I was best friends with him. I said, Ace, you should have had a lot of regrets. I think it was the opposite. Like he was saying, he probably did have a lot of regrets. Biggest regret. I wanted to be an astronaut. When I was growing up, I wrote in one of my first book, I wanted to be an astronaut. And that was my first thing that I wanted to do. And then I had sports concussions. I had sports injury in school and stuff like that. And I was really smart in school. I went to a Catholic school, really good school and everything. And then I fell behind in my schooling. And then I went into music. So I started learning music, and I went into music business and things like that. I don't have a regret going into music. The experience, I shouldn't have any regrets because I've had a charmed life. I really have. So even the things that should be regretful, I don't want to be regretful about it, because I met you now. I've met the most famous people in the world. I meet well-off people. I meet wonderful people. It doesn't matter how much is in their bank or how famous they are, or things like that. I've just really have, I should say have, and hopefully continue to have a charmed life. I really do. So that's why it's so hard to say regrets.
Listen, what I'm hearing, Gordon, is that you didn't go to space, but you achieved probably the equivalent of an astronaut going to space in your own career and in your own journey thus far. especially when it comes to the music side. So there's a lot there to be celebrated. And I love the fact that you're not looking back with regrets. What did that teach you? You articulated without saying it is if we can be thankful for where we are and for the journey thus far, we get to realize that we actually have a beautiful life. And I truly wish that more people could hold the power to realize how blessed they are versus wishing and hoping that something else would have happened in the past that would have somehow changed their trajectory, because where they are is so beautiful.
There's million, like I said, I think it would be disingenuous to say, "Oh, I regret this, I regret that, regret this." Sorry, this phone's triggering off. Regret this, regret that, and then, but you have to realize the bad things that happened in your life or the regretful things that you had in your life molded you to what you are today. And you shouldn't be, like you said, appreciate instead of going, "Oh, I wish I did this in my life," and then be depressed about it. And then you said, just like in business, don't look back and look back at things, and you learn. Everything's an education. There's a couple of things. There is regretful things in my life, but regretful things in my life I couldn't say publicly. How's that?
Well, here's my last question for the day. Perhaps you can tie it into the lessons learned. Is there any one particular thing you would love to leave with our listeners today?
Yeah.
And if your heart goes there, don't tell us something that could potentially be embarrassing. Was there a big lesson learned or something that you can leave with the listeners that sits on your heart right now?
You go back to basics, and it's like treat people the way you want to be treated. That's a real basic thing. And I equate it to my love life, so to speak. I had many girlfriends, in my career and things like that. And I always treated everybody respectfully. And I'm friends with a lot of people I had relationships with and still friends with them to this day. And I've been with my girlfriend 25 years now. So yeah, and she knows all the friendships I've had and things like that. So I always want to be a good person. That's all. Be a good person. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And what was in Bronx Tale? I don't know if you saw the movie Bronx Tale. Chaz Palminteri he had a great thing when he was going on a date with a girl, and Chaz Palminteri was telling this kid a test to test a girlfriend, a potential girlfriend. He says, when you get in the car, open the car door for her, and when you close the door, make sure the doors are locked. If she doesn't reach over and unlock your door, he goes, dump her. In other words, so weird tests like that, and my tests with people, if I go to a restaurant, like even if it's a little business meeting or anything like that, you should watch how the other person treats the waiters and treats everybody that serves them. If they treat them like garbage, they're not a good person. They're not a good person, because if you're treating people that are serving you and doing a service for you, and you treat them badly or poorly or snap your fingers at them or think you're above them and everything, there's a personality problem there. So there's all
I love
kinds of
that.
weird things we could go
You
on. I
know,
could go on and on. But
Gordon, there's so much wisdom in just what you said there alone. It's just
Mhm.
observe people. And what comes through for me is, especially for business owners, oftentimes we're being asked, join this, do this, invest here, collaborate there. And when we take a step back, if we allow ourselves to just observe, take a step back or observe, just simply observe what's happening and how the other person is showing up in the world, everything will be revealed. And you said it so beautifully. So I'm just going to just leave it on that. Just observe as you're listening to this. Observe what's happening in your world and who are the people that you need to be around and the people that maybe it's time to let go of. Not to say drop them altogether, don't ever say hi anymore, but maybe they were in your life for a season. And people are in our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And yeah, just observe.
Well,
Gordon, this has been amazing. Yes,
it's
go ahead.
amazing. And I believe there's something other than otherworldly that makes me meet you and makes, opportunity in your life and things like that. So we say, count your prayers, and
Count your prayers and look for
yeah.
the divine wisdom, because there is divine wisdom all around. And yes, everything does happen for a reason. I'm looking forward to seeing what the silver lining was on this one, Gordon. I know it'll be amazing.
You got it. Thank you, Unisha.
Thank you, Gordon. Until next time, as you're listening to this episode, we would love to hear from you on what stood out to you the most. So go in, rate the show, leave your comments, and let us know what was the one thing that Gordon said that stood out for you the most. And if you're wondering how exactly and you should be thinking about your own finances and what's happening in your world, check out the Wealth Health Scorecard and see, are you already super optimized, or is there an opportunity for you to maybe take that to your team and just open up the conversation? Until next time, stay tuned for your next episode of Your Business, Your Next Level.
Thank you for joining us on Your Business, Your Next Level podcast, where it is all about helping you make more, keep more, and elevating your business to the next level. To learn more, make sure you head over to www.podcast.excelstra.com and don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show. Again, that's podcast.excelstra.com. Until next time, thanks for listening.